Tonight, when you hear the name Adolf Hitler, your mind probably jumps straight to war, destruction, and the Holocaust. But the real story begins long before any of that. It begins with a lonely boy searching for purpose, and the path that followed was far stranger than most people imagine. You might expect history's most infamous dictator to have been born into power. He wasn't. Adolf Hitler was born in Austria in 1889 to a strict father and a caring mother. His childhood was ordinary in many ways, yet filled with conflict. He dreamed of becoming an artist rather than following the career his father wanted. When his father died, that pressure faded. But another setback arrived. Hitler applied to the Vienna Academy of Fine Arts and was rejected. Then he applied again, rejected again. Instead of becoming a painter, he drifted through Vienna, struggling to survive. During these years, he absorbed political ideas, nationalism, conspiracy theories, and intense prejudice that were common in parts of Europe at the time. Historians such as Ian Kershaw and Richard J. Evans argue that these years helped shape many of his later beliefs, although they did not determine his future on their own. Then came the First World War. Hitler volunteered to serve in the German army. He worked mainly as a dispatch runner, carrying messages across dangerous battlefields. The experience gave him a sense of belonging that he had never truly felt before. Germany's defeat in 1918 shattered that identity. Like many veterans, he struggled to understand how the nation had lost. The years after the war were filled with political violence, economic collapse, and public anger. Inflation destroyed savings. Governments rose and fell quickly. Many people searched for someone to blame and someone to promise order. Hitler soon joined a tiny political organization that became the National Socialist German Workers' Party, better known as the Nazi Party. At first, it was almost unknown. What made Hitler stand out was not wealth or military rank. It was his ability to speak. He could sense what frightened audiences and turn those fears into simple stories with clear enemies and bold promises. Researchers studying persuasion, including psychologist Albert Bandura, have shown how repeated messages and powerful social influence can shape beliefs and behavior. Hitler exploited these psychological tendencies with extraordinary effectiveness, using rallies, symbols, slogans, and emotion. In 1923, he attempted to seize power by force in Munich. The attempt failed. He was arrested and sent to prison. It looked like the end of his political career. Instead, prison became a turning point. There he dictated much of the book Mein Kampf, outlining his worldview and political ambitions. After his release, he abandoned the idea of taking power through an immediate revolution. Instead, he chose elections, organization, and propaganda. The Great Depression struck in 1929. Millions lost jobs. Confidence collapsed. The Nazi Party presented itself as a movement that could restore national pride and economic stability. Support grew rapidly. Political scientist Theda Skocpol and many historians have emphasized that major economic crises often reshape political systems by increasing public demand for dramatic change. Germany became one of the clearest examples. By early 1933, political negotiations and elite decisions led to Hitler being appointed Chancellor of Germany. Many conservative leaders believed they could control him. They were wrong. Within months, democratic institutions weakened dramatically. Emergency powers expanded after the Reichstag fire. Opposition parties were suppressed. Independent institutions lost their independence. Step by step, power became concentrated in one leader. This was not the result of a single speech or a single election. It was the result of years of economic hardship, political instability, propaganda, and human decisions made by millions of individuals. Understanding this rise is uncomfortable because it reminds you that history is rarely inevitable. It grows from ordinary choices made under extraordinary pressure. In the next chapter, you will see how Hitler transformed that power into one of the largest dictatorships Europe had ever seen, and how millions of lives became trapped inside it. The story began with a lonely young man searching for purpose. It became the beginning of one of history's darkest chapters.